What's up, guys? It's your boy AG, and today I am going to show you guys part 2 in the series. This is on how to shred your tub. Now, if you just got your grain bag, or again, you just ordered it, and you went ahead and watched part 1, where I showed you guys how to build your set it and forget it mono tub. The one we built was a little different. That was a tub I used for Natalancents because those are really tall and skinny. But these 27 quart, these are Sterilites, just Walmart brand. I think they're 27 quart. Yeah, 27 quart. These will fit any cube. Even like my Monster Max, like those are some monsters and they are huge. And I've had a couple, get real close to the top, but for the most part, these tubs will fit pretty much any cube you want to throw at them. Like I've even had some like Monster PEs and Yetis in these things. And see, when you have fruits that are not just really tall, but get like fat and dense too, 90% of the time you won't have to worry about height because the weight of them will make them kind of fall over and they'll literally grow along horizontally along the substrate. Because that tail end of the stem is usually has the ropes of mycelium coming down into the block, and that's literally all it needs to produce those massive fruits. Okay. So today I'm actually shredding 2 different strands. So what I'm going to do is show you guys basically, how I do one and then kind of like a double. So you get the best of both worlds. So what I like to do is I like to make sure that the ends of the bag are perfectly aligned. See how, so when I pull it up, that little the little line down the middle of the bag is like evenly lined up. That way I know, that it's going to be nice and straight. And then when I go to trim it, these little pockets at the ends where they're just like, they fucking suck. You can actually pull those up. And I'll show you when we go to trim, how I do it. So, all right, let's get this bag all set up first. Okay. All right. Cool, that's good. Okay. So I know exactly, how much substrate by the handful that I'm putting into these tubs. So if I'm using one of these bags, that is it's these smaller, not quite as wide bags. These have just a smidge under 2 pounds of substrate. Now these guys are going to have about 2.25, about 2.5 pounds of substrate. They're a little bit bigger, and I usually use these. What I'll do is I put 2 full scoops of my my 1 liter measuring cup. So basically, I usually make these like 3-pound bags, and the 3-pound bags work perfect. 3 to 3.5. You can even go 4 if you want. And actually, with strands like monster strands, PE, Yeti, anything that grows big fruits, you want to basically almost double your substrate or your grain spawn, because you need that extra grain and nutrients to be able to produce not just as big fruits, but a good canopy of big fruits. Let's say you use, you know, the regular amount I would normally use for these, right? That produces insane canopies. Like, let's say I use a blue meanie in one of these. It's going to fill, the canopy will fill, pretty much 99% of the time, unless I do something stupid. Yeah, I can almost guarantee to get a full canopy. But if I'm using that same amount of substrate, same conditions and everything, but I'm growing a strand like Yeti, you're not going to get a full canopy, because having those bigger fruits, you need more of everything except substrate. You need more grain spawn. You need that extra nutrient to really produce a big full canopy of those bigger fruits. So since we're using those 2 bags that are a little more than I would normally use, we're just going to barely line the bottoms of these. Normally I'd put 2 full handfuls, like 2 good size handfuls in each, but we're just going to do like 2 smallies. Like 2 just smallies. Okay. So then I like to kind of, let me actually get you a better angle. Hold up. Hold up. Way. Let's see here. That's better. Or just do a one at a time type deal, so that way we can get right over top of it. That way you can see everything. Okay, so kind of just push those little bit of air out, you'll be fine. And you just want to distribute your substrate nice and evenly, and just using enough to cover the bottom. That's all we're doing, just enough to make the bag disappear. Okay, we'll go to our second one. Sorry, you probably can't see this one, but I'm doing the same exact thing that I did right there. So, just killing a couple birds here. You just want them to be covered just a little bit. Okay. So since I use basically almost all bags. I do run jars, but I use jars for specific things, for my crosses, when I'm creating hybrid strands, when I'm pheno hunting, and when I am going on to the next pheno in my culture, like library. So if I have an F4 and I find a good fruit of that strand that I'm going to create an F5 out of, what I'll do is take the clone from that fruit. I'll take 2 or 3 samples, put that to agar, and then when that agar is fully grown out and colonized, I will not take a sample of it. I will take that agar and do an agar to grain transfer. Then what is produced from that, I will take a sample of, and that'll be that F5, if that makes sense. You don't want to take your sample from the agar before you transfer it into your grain, because you're basically collecting an F4. You need them to grow out and go that next cycle to produce the fruits that you cloned, if that makes sense. You'll be continuing your genetics, and the mycelium will continue to be stronger and stronger, yes, but you won't get those full canopies and those consistent fruits that you're cloning unless you let it run its cycle first and then take your sample from the finished product of that cycle. So we got some really good fully colonized grain spawn here. And one thing I've noticed a lot of people do is they're wanting to rush their grain spawn. Yes, you're going to get fruits from it even if you rush it super early and you think it's fully colonized when it's not. Yes, you're going to get fruits. You're going to have some success, but you're not going to get the full potential of what you normally would if you just had a little patience. Like, these bags were inoculated on 8/16. You do the math. It's 2nd day of October. So, a month and a half. And this is a fairly fast strand. So, like I said, normally these would go in the tubs a little bit bigger. But all I have is like the bigger ones. And I don't have any in-betweeners. So this will be fine. What'll happen is the first flush, I might get a few aborts. A lot of times when you can put too much grain spawn in a container or tub, and if you do use too much, you will get a good amount of aborts, just because it colonizes so much that the fruits kind of have nowhere. It's so colonized that it's just too much. They won't produce a really good full canopy. That's why getting your ratios down really, really, really makes a huge difference between that and isolating and cloning strands that you want to replicate and keep going in your libraries. That's really key. Those two things are absolutely key to getting those full canopies and those insane yields. Like we did in the part 1 video, I showed you guys, exactly where my hole placements are and where I know, they're going to be perfectly aligned with exactly how many handfuls of substrate that I'm using. Like right now, I can tell you 100% this substrate is about an inch or so underneath those, underneath the fresh air exchange holes, which is exactly what I want, because you want to give it a little tiny bit. That inch and a half is going to give you the perfect amount of space for your next flush, because in the next part after we harvest, because remember, these are set it and forget it. So after we harvest, we're going to spray them down, and then we're going to put a light casing layer. We're just going to recase them, let them recolonize, and start the process all over again, up till the 4th or 5th flush. After 4 or 5 flushes, that's when I dump them and start over. So I just went and washed my gloves. I just did a rinse off under my sink, and now I'm hitting them with some 91 isopropyl. Okay, so what we're gonna do, I'll find the lids. We're gonna slap a lid on this bad boy. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and I'll trim it for you guys. That way you can see the whole thing. I was gonna do them both, but we'll take the lid and just lid this bad boy, and then we'll use this guy. Set it up top. That way you can see it a little better. Okay, that should be good for you. Okay, so basically what I do is I start at a corner and I'll just grab it up top here, and you just want to come in and you'll see it where the fold comes down, and you just want to snip it sideways. And once you start it, you can get this part of the scissor in, and you just almost work it as a knife as you're scissoring it, if that makes sense. But you want to give it about, an inch. You want to go about an inch above your substrate block. And that's perfect. That's right underneath the tape marks of our holes. And see how I got this right end of the scissor in right here? Hopefully you can see that. So as I'm scissoring it, I go like that. See? And now that I've gotten it far enough along, I can get both scissors in and just do one of these deals. And I got to make sure I'm pulling up, having a little tension on the bag liner as I'm doing that. That way I know it's a nice, even, straight cut. Now, when we come up here on the sides, remember how I was telling you those little fuck you ends? Well, those are perfect. Exactly aligned where we want them. So we're going to come up a little tiny bit. We're actually going to come up on an angle. The ends of the liner, you want it to come up into a little V. And we use those little V's for when we're disposing of our tubs. Those act as little handles to pick up your block, to toss it so you don't have a huge mess. And then the tub's a lot easier to be cleaned out. So we're just coming up to the sides here and then coming back down to our inch. Spin it. Now we're going to do the same thing we did on that other end. Kind of work it like a knife as you're scissoring it. Okay. Remember to keep that little bit of tension on the bag. Now we can take one end, since we have both of them on either side done. You can pull your bag all the way over to one side. Again, we're going to come up into that little V till we hit the bottom mark of those side holes. Remember, we got 3 of them on the sides here. And then we come right back down, boom, to our inch right there. Okay, now this is crucial. In order to get your bag liner to adhere to the sides of your tub, and this works or acts as a few different things. There, it's better. Obviously, you're going to want to give it your insides a spritz, and I actually run my substrate a little bit on the drier side because I like to be able to give it a little bit of, depending on the strand, give it a little extra or not. I like to be on the dry side, but it also is going to act as a suction for our bag liner. So you don't even want to touch the bag liner yet. See, I just do a few little seconds up top. Just enough so you see a couple little tiny droplets. No pulling or nothing, just a little spritz. Or as my people would say, a little schwitz. I'm schwitzing over here. I'm schwitzing here. Okay. Okay. Now that we use that water to our advantage and it acts as our suction, we're going to come back. And this is crucial. And that's why using the water to keep the bag liner against the walls is very crucial too. Because we're going to come back in with our fingers like this and just fill in those little gap right there in the corners. And what this will do will keep you from getting a ton of side pins. And the reason why you do not want side pins is because when you have your block spending energy creating pins on the sides, that's energy taking away from the middle part of your block where you want those mushrooms to be produced. And that's where, isolating and cloning comes into play, which I'll go over in a couple parts down the road here. When we go to do a little harvesting, I'll show you guys what fruits, or where you want to pick from. You really want to pick something that's a good cluster, but also something with some good size. It doesn't have to be the biggest fruit in the tub. A lot of times your biggest fruit won't be your best cluster. So it's a trade-off. You want to find the best clusters with the biggest fruits in that order, if that makes sense. Okay. So then we're going to come back here and we're going to spray our lid. Just give it a little schwitz and then boom, we're done. Slap a label on it and you literally do not have to touch this tub until it is ready. You will not have to touch it. This tub is a set it and forget it. And it's just like that. Super easy, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, you guys. Any comments, shoot them my way. Sorry, I know I've had some comments turned off. Something was really weird on my account. I don't know why I had some weird setting about they were monitoring abusive comments or something, but nobody ever talks any bad shit. So I don't know how that got on there or anything, but it wasn't allowing me to see any notifications of y'all's comments. So yeah, please, anything, shoot them my way. I'll try to get to them and answer them as fast as I can. And again, without you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. And I do this just for you guys. Because you never know when somebody or you never know whose life it could save that desperately needs this hobby to save their life. Like it saved mine. So I take this very serious, and I take the help that I give others very serious because, again, you never know when that person could need it to save their life. So I love all you guys. If nobody's told you today, I love all of y'all, and you can do this. I'm a living example. I'm about to celebrate 9 years on November 17th. And if I can get and stay clean, I trust me. Any of you can. Any of you can. It's so freaking simple. It just took me so long to get to the point where I didn't want to use anymore. I wanted a better life. And unfortunately, you gotta go the cycle. You gotta get to the point, go through all that hell to get there to where you're like, man, I'm really done. And I'm really done. Anyways, I love you guys. And like I said, any comments, shoot my way. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I got some dope shit in the works. Peace, motherfuckers.